All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a metaphor that's, believe it or not, about 2,000 years old. But it gets at a question that feels super modern. Who do you really trust? We're diving deep into this idea of the Good Shepherd.
So let's just start right there, with a question for all of us living today. I mean, think about it. You just bombarded, right? Information, advice, opinions, it's coming at you from everywhere. So how in the world do you decide which voice is actually worth following?
Okay, so here's a pretty cool modern way to frame this. Think about your phone, right? Your voice assistant is designed to ignore literally every other voice in the room. But the second it hears your voice, the owner's, boom, it wakes up. It's been specifically trained to recognize just one person.
And that idea, that ability to pick out one specific trusted voice from all the noise, well, that's the absolute heart of an ancient metaphor Jesus used, which we find in the Gospel of John.
So in this metaphor, Jesus talks about his followers as sheep. And these aren't just any sheep. They have such a strong bond with their leader that they can instantly, like that, tell the difference between his voice and the voice of an imposter. And get this, they don't just, ignore the stranger. The text says they actually run from him.
Okay, but here's the thing. This wasn't just some random quaint story about life on a farm. No, this was a direct, super pointed response to something really dramatic that had just gone down. It was basically setting the stage for a huge conflict.
All right, so let's set the scene. Jesus performs this incredible miracle. He heals a man who was blind from birth. You'd think everyone would celebrate, right? Well, not exactly. The established religious leaders, the Pharisees, they actually drag this guy in, interrogate him, and then punish him by kicking him out of the community. They excommunicate him. And it's right after that whole incident that Jesus launches into this story. He's basically drawing a massive line in the sand. He's contrasting a real, legitimate shepherd with these other guys who are just sneaking in, who clearly don't care about the sheep. Let's be real, he's calling out the Pharisees, point blank.
And this really breaks it down perfectly. It's all about the motive, right? The shepherd comes in the right way, through the front door, and his whole purpose is to care for the sheep. The thief, on the other hand, he's climbing over the wall. His goal is just pure destructive self-interest. One is here to invest and protect. The other is only there to exploit.
So you see where this is going. If these religious leaders who were abusing their power are the thieves, then Jesus is presenting himself as the total opposite. He's the real deal, the good shepherd.
Okay, so how are you supposed to know? How do you spot the real good shepherd? Well, the story lays out 3 crystal clear signs. Let's break them down.
First up, it all circles back to that voice recognition thing we talked about. This relationship isn't about being forced or pushed around. It's totally personal. The sheep know his voice, they trust his voice, and because of that, they willingly follow wherever he leads.
And this is such a cool detail. There's a huge difference between leading and driving. A true shepherd walks out in front. He's the first one to face any danger, and that's what builds trust. The others, they drive the sheep from behind, using fear, maybe some barking dogs nipping at their heels, just to force them to go a certain way.
Okay, sign number 2 is all about the shepherd's endgame. Remember the thief? His mission is to steal, kill, and destroy. To take. The good shepherd is the complete opposite. His whole purpose is to give, and not just give any old life, but to give life abundantly.
And that brings us to the third sign, which is really the biggest one of all. The final, ultimate proof of his care isn't just that he leads well or provides for them. It's that he's willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for them.
And again, we get this great contrast. This time, it's with what the text calls a hired hand. You know this guy. He's just there for the paycheck. The sheep aren't his, so he doesn't really care what happens to them. The moment a wolf shows up, the moment there's real danger, poof, he's gone. His motivation is just saving his own skin, not love.
And this is a really important point. This act of sacrifice isn't something that just happens to the shepherd, like he's a victim. No, it's presented as a powerful, conscious choice, something he chooses to do out of his own authority and ultimately out of love.
So all of this, the leading, the giving, the sacrifice, it's all building toward this one big promise. So what is this abundant life that he's talking about?
Well, according to the text, it's not what you might think. It's not about being rich or having this picture-perfect, easy life with no problems. Instead, it's defined as something deeper, a kind of unshakable peace and a real sense of purpose that doesn't get rattled by what's going on around you. It's a quality of life that the text says even lasts into eternity.
So how do the religious leaders react to all this? I mean, these were some pretty radical claims, calling himself the true leader and basically calling them thieves. Well, it completely split the room. A lot of them just dismissed him out of hand. They said, "He has a demon. He's insane. Why are you even listening to him?"
But there were others in the crowd who just couldn't dismiss it that easily. They were connecting the dots. They connected his incredible words back to his incredible actions. Their logic was pretty simple, really. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind? The evidence of that miracle? It was just impossible for them to ignore.
And that, right there, brings this whole thing full circle, doesn't it? It takes us right back to that question from the very beginning. It leaves us standing in the exact same spot as the people who heard this 2,000 years ago, facing the same choice. In a world that is just full of competing voices, which one are you following?